Hey guys, Dr. Patrice Carter here, the Coach's Coach, and I'm so excited to be back with you guys today. And I just want to share something. I just want to say thank you to all of you that have recently subscribed to the channel and for all the feedback I've received. Today I received the sweetest compliment. Someone referred to me as a home cooked meal. And I know that might sound weird, but she meant it in such a sweet way, in the sense of God using me to do something from the heart that's nurturing and that just tastes really yummy, and you just know a lot of love was put into it. And I'm just so grateful for that and honored to just continue to serve you guys from the way that God has called me to serve you, and that is to just pour into you and give you all that I can give you as it relates to helping you to be the best you can be as a Christian life coach. So today we're talking all things values, and I want to just give you 5 or more just really great tips, tools, and takeaways as it relates to coaching from a place of values. And that means what you value. So I'm just going to give you a quick definition. And it's just super important that we have this conversation right now, because many times I find that people don't coach from a place of what they value, or sometimes we have clients that show up and they're having values conflict in their life, and that's why they're unable to get unstuck or move past a certain place, because the decisions that they're making and the way that they're showing up is not in alignment with their core values, and they may not even be aware of it. And so I think it's really important that we have a conversation as coaches around values and what that means and how they reflect and show up in our coaching conversations. So I just want to offer a definition that I love by a reference, mindtools.com. And they say and define values as things that we believe are important in the way that we live and work, and that our values basically should determine our priorities. And so that's where you have that alignment that I was talking about. And deep down, the values that we have probably measure or are the measures that we use when we're making decisions about our life, and they let us know if our life is turning out the way we want or if things are going in the direction that we desire. So it's really important to have coaching conversations that are aligned around a client's values and helping them to uncover what those are. But it's also important that we as coaches know what we value, so that as we begin to work with clients, we know that we're working from a space that is authentic to who we are. And I'm totally not opposed to letting a client know if I feel that, or even a coach that I'm certifying and training, if we don't have our values aligned, then we're not a good fit. And I have no problem saying that. And so I think it's really important, again, that you recognize what your values are, and that you take that and you reflect it in your ideal client, which we'll talk about in another video, how you can determine your ideal client. And if someone's coachable, I'll teach you those tools. But it's really important that your values be reflected in your ideal client. And if they don't show up and you don't see them reflected as you're having these discovery sessions with your potentially new clients, then they're not a good fit for you, because you won't have a good coaching interaction, I promise you. Okay, so today I'm going to be sharing just some tools and tips. And the first thing that we've already identified is sort of a definition for what values are, but also Stolzfus, whom I really admire, says that values are the bedrock of our behavior, and that basically they define what is, again, most important to us. So again, when you think about those things that you value and that you hold dear, and that's what's driving your decisions, what are they? So I think about my top 5. My top 5 values are faith, family, fun, integrity, and it's always hard to choose 5, but follow through. So it's really important to me that people I walk with, people I live with, and myself included, that we follow through. It's also really important that we have fun. It's super important to me that the things I do and that we do are predicated on faith. And it's important for me to put family first, because I think that keeps me focused on my why. And also it helps me not to overwork myself, because I know that I need to be there for my family and to be present for them. So in humor, I would say fun and humor kind of go hand in hand, because I'm definitely all about a good time, okay? So you'll see me looking down. I'm sort of looking at my notes, but I just want to, talk with you about, again, a little bit more about values and why they're so critical, And it's basically that they are really deeply ingrained assumptions that we have about ourselves and about others, and sometimes we're not even conscious of how they actually shape our actions. But when we do these values discovery tools, they can be really critical in helping us get in touch with not only ourselves but again our clients. So we're again reminded that coaching is what? It's about asking and listening. So coaching is about asking and listening. It does not involve telling on any detail, okay? And if you do have something that you want to tell a client, you want to ask for their permission first. Hey, may I share something with you? But for the most part, again, 95% of the conversation is asking and listening. So with that, there are some values discovery questions that I want you to take some time, get a journal, get a piece of paper, write them out. I'm going to share them in the comment box below or the description box below. And I want you to think about your values first, so that once you're clear on what you value, then I want you to take that and apply it to your ideal client. What values would you like for your ideal client to hold? And then also keep this in mind as an exercise for you to use when you begin walking with clients, or as you're walking with clients. Even if you're a coach who's been coaching for a while, maybe this is a tool that you can add to your tool belt. So one of the things that you want to do, again, is a values discovery question set. And what that looks like is just asking yourself, hey, what are some of your core values? So I shared, my top 5 values. I have way more than that, but those are the top 5 that kind of just come up to the top of my heart. So what are your top 5 core values? What things, if they were taken away or you couldn't do them, would make life unbearable? Well, the first thing I think about is chocolate, but that's just me. So again, what things, if they were taken away or you couldn't do them, would make life unbearable? And what makes these things valuable to you? Like, I just don't want to consider my family not being here. I just love my family. I think they're just so amazing. Both my current family, my family I live with, my extended family. Like, I just love family, and that includes my friends. I definitely love the gift of humor and the gift of laughter and having fun. I love me some Jesus. So definitely I would not want that taken away. I couldn't even imagine life without Jesus. So think about what those things are and why they're valuable to you. And then the next thing you want to ask yourself is, when making your most important decisions, what are the fundamentals you base them on? When making your most important decisions, what are the fundamentals that you base them on? And so one of those things we think about is, I did a video previously about your why. So your why should inform why you're doing what you're doing as a Christian life coach, as a life coach. And you want to think about how that relates to your fundamentals as a human being and your fundamentals as a person, your authentic self. And then another question that you want to ask, again, talking about values discovery questions, is, where do you invest the best amount of your time, money, and energy? Where do you invest the best of your time, money, and energy? And so that will inform your values. And if that's not, when you think about that, if that's not a good thing, or that's not a place that you really want to be investing, then it's okay to shift. It's okay to pivot. It's okay to stop and just sort of reflect and get reestablished around who you are and reconnecting with who you are. And then another question is, what are your soapbox issues? So I was talking with someone earlier today, and they were saying how they're not really sure who they're called to, or who God is calling them to serve. And so I think about when he says this question about what are your soapbox issues, what are those issues that just get your goat? They just get you fired up. You just hate to see happen to people. So one of my things is justice. Like, I'm a person of justice, and I hate seeing people done wrong. I cannot stand for people to be taken advantage of, but I also hate to see people hurting, and I don't like people being confused about their life, or not having a purpose, or not knowing their purpose, and just struggling in that. I really want to help them understand what it is God has for them. So what are those things that are soapbox issues for you that you just would get up on the soapbox and preach from sun up to sundown about? What are your deep concerns? What are you deeply concerned about? And who are you deeply concerned about? So all those, if you answer those questions, they will help to inform you about what you value. Also, what do you take the most pride in? What do you take the most pride in? What excites you most in life? So what most excites you in life? What do you take the most pride in? And so when you think about, the answer to that, write these down and then go back and read them. And then once you go back and read them, go back and just sort of sit with them for a little bit and meditate and let the Spirit of God just really speak to you about, those things, those values, and ask God, are my values aligned with what you've called me to do? Are my values aligned with my purpose? Am I really living from my truest, most authentic self? And I think that that's a really powerful conversation. One of the most powerful conversations that you can have with yourself, because it feels so good when you align your values and your life and your actions and just how you show up every day. When you make space for that, it's just really powerful. And again, it just brings such peace and clarity to you as a person. So one of the other ways that you can begin to hone your values is to think about your values characteristics. Now, I love the idea and the thought of all these, so I hope this excites you, because I'm just really passionate about helping people do that. And so one of the ways that you can refine your values statements is to make sure that they fit the definition of a value. So Stolzfus goes on to share with us that there are some characteristics of values that we can sort of begin to think through categorically. And so one of the things he asks first is he says that values are passionate. So when you think about passion, again, we've already kind of touched on it a little bit, but he says, what are the things in this area that you care the most deeply about? Let's find the heart of this. So what parts would you be most willing to sacrifice for, and what's behind that? So what are you passionate about? What would you be willing to sacrifice for, and what's behind that? What's driving that desire? What's driving that answer in you? And what makes you passionate about it? So again, it's just about drilling down to what's inside of your heart. And then the next thing he shares about values characteristics is that values are unique. So values are unique. He says the language that you use could be true of a lot of people. Can you capture that or say that in a way that captures what's unique about you? Can you say that or capture that in a way that is unique to you? Also, can you say that in a way that if your friends read it, they'd know it was you? So I have this saying that my husband always laughs, and I'm totally going to put it on a t-shirt, and hopefully you'll buy it now. I'm going to put it on a t-shirt, but I always ask everybody, it doesn't matter who it is, even if I'm not in a coaching conversation, I can just be having a conversation with a complete stranger in the street, or my best friend down the street, or my best friend in other states, and that is, what is the Lord saying? What is the Lord saying? You will hear me ask that all the time. If you ever work with me in any capacity, I will ask you, what is the Lord saying? And so if anybody ever heard that, they would know that Dr. Patrice Carter said that, because I say it all the time. What is the Lord saying? And then the other thing I say all the time is, you're not allowed to say, I don't know. So if you ask any one of my coaches, what is a 4-letter word that you cannot use in class, it would be not a 4-letter word, but a statement, I don't know. That's the equivalent of a curse word to me. So if someone heard me say that, they would know that's unique to me, because I really value knowledge. I don't value when people say I don't know, because it's a cop-out. It's like just a mini quit on yourself of not taking the time to find out and mine what's in your own heart. Mine, M-I-N-E, digging deep. Then he says that values are something that we live. Values are lived. And I love that. It says values are not just something that you aspire to, it's something that you live out. And so when you think about this values statement that you are going to write from your values discovery questions, and as you answer these values characteristics, then when you think about your statement of what you value, how well is this statement reflected in your life right now? How well are the things that you say you value reflected in your life right now, today? So if I look at my life, does my life reflect that I put family in the top 5? Does my life reflect fun and humor? I'm working on it. Does my life reflect faith? Absolutely. So what are the things, again, follow through? Does my life reflect follow through? I'm definitely working on that every minute of every day. So when you think about your top 5 values and the things that, again, you say are near and dear to your heart, does your life reflect that? And if not, what can you do to bring that into alignment? It's so important because you're going to help your clients bring that into alignment. The other thing is that a value that you're living out already, or is it something that you aspire to? So when you think about your top 5 values and you answer that question, did you answer based on what you hope for, or what you really are going for, or what you're currently living? And if that is something that you're aspiring to, that's awesome. So now think about, how can you put legs and feet to that? How can you put that into action? What's one small step or even a huge leap that you can take to begin to live out these values and live out maybe just one value? Do one at a time. This is all about just doing baby steps. The Bible says that the race is not given to the swift or even to the strong, but he that endures till the end. And then lastly, when you think about values and the characteristics of values are concise. Values are concise, and that means that you can sum them up in one sentence. So my top 5 values are, be able to speak that and say what that is. And then also you can shorten that into a meaningful phrase that can be unpacked. So how I shared that my top 5 values are faith, family, fun, finishing what you start, and of course now I'm drawing a blank. So go back and listen to the beginning. But we can make meaningful phrases around that. And so it should be concise, and it should be something that you can live out, that you can express out, that you can share, that makes sense, and you can express to people in a way that empowers and ignites them. So let's recap. So in our recap today, what we did was we talked about values and why values are important. Values are important because values are the underlying foundation for how we show up, how we make decisions, how we live out our life, and how we build relationships and connections personally and professionally. And if they're not in alignment, then our life is not in alignment. If they're not in alignment for us personally, then when we go to coach clients, we're not necessarily coaching from a place that's authentic, and that can show up. But also, I think when our clients, again, don't have their values aligned with how they're living, their life is not in balance. And that would speak to why sometimes they get to places that they're stuck and they can't move forward because they're not in alignment. They're not really living from their truest self. And so what I want you to do, again, is to take some time to answer those values discovery questions, to take some time to think about the values characteristics, and to write those out. Please share them with me. I would love to hear your comments and just kind of connect with you around, what aha moments you had, if any. And I'll definitely share some of the information below about the resources that I mentioned about values and how you can begin to develop that and add that into your coaching practice. But I also want to just take a moment to invite you to consider joining me at the Breakpoint Coaching Collective. Through my company, Breakpoint Coaching LLC, and the Breakpoint Coaching Collective, we certify, equip, and train Christian life coaches. I love it. And there are 2 ways that we do that. The first way is that we have a 12-week board certified coach training program that is live via Zoom. And we are credentialed for 60 hours through the Center for Credentialing and Education at the board certified coach level, which is exciting. And you can learn more about that on my website, drpatricecarter.com. Another way for you to become certified as a Christian life coach is we have a mobile-ready e-coach certification course that is all self-paced, video-based. And that's another way that you can just take it at your own pace and time and become, again, a certified Christian life coach. And then if those are maybe not within your budget or your time at this time, what you can do is connect with me in the E-Coaches Club, which is a Christian club for life coaches. We are a private group on Facebook, and that's $20 a month. And that's where we come together and we meet with experts. We share resources, tools, and tips. I sow into them. I mentor up-and-coming coaches, those that are even already coaches but want to take their business or their practice to the next level. So there are many ways that you and I can connect. I definitely invite you again to subscribe to the channel and connect with me. Leave me comments and let me know if you're a life coach. I would love to know that. And then 2, or do you aspire to be a life coach? Or 3, if you've been coaching for a while, what are some topics that will be helpful to you? What would you like to learn more about? So I thank you guys today for taking the time to come by and just, sit with me and learn about values. And I hope that this has been helpful. Please give me some feedback. I love sharing this type of information and just sowing into other coaches. It's a gift from God. So I just honor him for it. And I thank you guys. God bless you, and I'll see you next time.